This guitar right here was a major turning point for Ibanez guitars, as well as a major turning point for me personally. Let me get into it. If you're coming here from my every level of Ibanez AZ video, then welcome back. And you already know what this is, and you're here just for more information. If you haven't seen that video yet, definitely check that out. This guitar is the Ibanez Roadstar 2. And the Roadstar 2 is most of the reason that we have every Ibanez today, as well as a major turning point for the company and the guitars that they produce. A little bit of backstory here. Ibanez, or Ibanez as it was at the time, kind of got famous for the typical Japanese guitar brand type thing where they made what are commonly known as lawsuit guitars. And I mean, really, at the time, no one really thought, the internet was gonna come along. And from a utility standpoint, Japan in general was really great at taking things and making their own version of them since they're an island. And shipping was so expensive. So they kind of just made their own versions of things, not thinking there would ever be, a way for everyone in the world to find everything online. Everything from American alcohol because it was so expensive to ship, and of course, even instruments. Now, at a certain point, Ibanez got a lot of heat for being a lawsuit guitar company. In comes this guitar, which, if you notice, has a very similar look to a Strat. But this is one of Ibanez's earliest attempts at breaking out of the lawsuit guitar world. As you see, it definitely has a bunch of qualities to it that are different, especially with these little horns and the cutaways. Also, the headstock redesign at the time ultimately made this guitar different enough that Ibanez could call it its own. The Roadstar 2 also sported a couple design choices that kind of led to things we know and love with Ibanez today. For example, their version of the speed knobs. If you'll notice, this is exactly the same design that we still use on Ibanez today, as well as the neat little kind of in phase, out of phase switch. That kind of be argued that it was a precursor to something like what we have with the Dynamix 10 switch on the Ibanez AZs today. Now, where am I going with this exactly? I know what you're saying though. How exactly was this guitar the turning point? Well, this is known as the Roadstar guitar, which is where we ultimately got the initials RG for the Ibanez RG line, which is probably one of the most popular Ibanez lines of all time. Granted, the Ibanez RG looks way different now because they ultimately decided to go for the modern super Strat style with two humbuckers, since this was kind of around the 80s time. But that doesn't mean features of this guitar didn't live on. 1986 was the year of the first RG model, but it started to kind of blur the lines between the Roadstar and the RG. Eventually, I think in around 1987, they made a Roadstar Pro line. And the Pro line would feature two models, the Radius and the Sabre, abbreviated to the R and the S. And those had body styles that were a lot closer to this, but a lot more similar looking to the modern S, and even the kind of short-lived in-between R series. But wait, there's more. Bear with me, I haven't changed these strings since I was 15, and I think I put 7 or 8 gauge strings on them because they're ridiculous, and they're just they're still in pretty good shape though, since I think I changed them and haven't played it since. I'm gonna go into position 2 on the pickup selector, which is positions 2 and 4 are the Ibanez sound, right? I don't care what you say, Fender, any other Strat style, positions 1, 3, and 5, they kill it in. Ibanez's spot is positions 2 and 4. It's so good. Let's see how this sounds. intonation might be out a little bit. It's only been 15 years. I remember when I heard that sound for the first time, I remember thinking to myself, like, this sound could be huge if it could just be a little bit louder. Lo and behold, the modern prog world is kind of ruled by that Ibanez 2 and 4 sound. Go figure, right? Now, like I just said, I think that there's even more influence in so many other directions than just those 4 models, really. If you take a look at and also feel a Talman, check this out. I'll put a Talman up on the screen right now just so you could look at it, and then I'll let you see this. Basically, from here down gives you serious Talman vibes, right? I'm not sure if this is the case, but they might not have been allowed at the time to use this style body with this style of pickups, and they totally knocked it out of the park with the Talman by having that be their kind of Strat-ish guitar, which is a phenomenal guitar. Let's get a little bit more sound. If I haven't said it already, bear with me. This guitar is pretty hard to play. Not only was this guitar a pivotal point for Ibanez, but it was also a massive turning point on my guitar journey. This guitar came into my life because it was my dad's brothers who had passed away before I was born. And I had been learning guitar for a few years, and I was in my grandparents' basement and I found this case, and I knew right away it was a guitar, obviously, and I opened it and I was so excited, and I brought it home and it became mine, and I played it at a bunch of gigs. And fast forward now, years later, I absolutely love Ibanez, and I play an Ibanez AZ at every single gig. So it's not only special to the world of Ibanez, but this specific one is very special to me. And if you haven't seen my other Ibanez AZ videos yet, check them out right here.